we're going to start our brand new lesson that is chapter 4 of your Cohen and Swardick test and testing. So, um, reminders, no? Answer the formative assessments and please do continue with your progress in your summative assessment, lecture, and laboratory. So now let's try to discuss this one. Chapter 4 ito. Okay, now please try to differentiate daw trait and state. Yun muna. How or what are the differences between the two? If babalikan natin si theories of personality, what are the differences or what is the differences of a trait and a state? Who can answer the question? Okay. Who can answer the question? Ano kayang pagkakaiba nilang dalawa? Trait and state? Okay. You can just try. Try lang ninyo, no? Baka may mga ano kayo. Idea kayo anong difference ng dalawa. Someone who could raise their hand, no? 9 lang tayo. Yes, Ethan. Paano sila nagkaka...
Hello.
Yes,
Okay,
dear.
so traits are um, basically they are longer lasting inherent personality traits that personality characteristics that a person would have
Mhm.
for a prolonged period, whereas states are shorter lived. You know, they are a lot transient and they are only like a temporary and fixed point of condition that a person may be going through at a specific circumstance, you know, that they may be going through, whether they're happy, content, or depressed, or you know, sad about a certain situation, or anxious, you know, about a certain about whatever circumstance they're in. So yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
That's it, no? Sakto. So trait, this is for enduring psychological, emotional condition. It can be defined as a personality trait that can distinguish a person compared to other individuals, while a state is transient, so it can last only a period of time. So a state could be like a state of being happy, joyful, a state of being depressed, low, moody, no? So nagbabago siya over time and affected by a lot of internal and external factors of the person. So that is the difference, and we can measure that in psych testing. We could measure the state and the trait. So again, the trait is enduring personality. It can be also um, attitude, no? Well, a state is far less enduring as compared to personality or to a trait. Okay, now let's try to go to the first assumption. Psychological traits and states do exist. So by definition, trait. Who can read this one? Elena, please read to us trait versus state. Sige daw na.
Trait, any distinguishable, relatively enduring way in which one individual varies from another. States, a
Mhm.
distinguishing feature but relatively less enduring.
Okay, yeah. So that is the keyword, enduring, no? Okay, less enduring si state. And si state, si ano naman, si trait is enduring way. But ang term kasi dito is relatively enduring. So ang meaning niyan is at some point we could exhibit extroversion but not all the time 100% all cases we could display extroversion, but it is considered as our default way of functioning. Do you understand? Yun yung parang default natin, but hindi naman sa lahat ng pagkakataon we exhibit that certain personality trait, but we can be considered as an enduring pattern of our default behavior. Okay, so that is the difference between the two. Okay, so no questions here. If there are questions, you can chat and use your microphone. Now let's go to here. So someone can read this one. Can I request? Yeah. Azumi, sige daw nak. Basahin mo ito nak yung a psychological trait up until to the last part.
A psychological trait exists only as a construct, an informed scientific concept developed or constructed to describe or explain behavior. We can't see, hear, or touch constructs. We can infer their existence from overt behavior. Overt behavior refers to an observable action or the product of an observable action, including test or assessment related responses.
Okay, so that's the construct. So construct is an informed scientific concept developed or constructed to describe or explain a certain behavior. So a construct is something that we could define. Okay, a personality trait, let's say example is neuroticism. Okay, that is a construct and it is being defined as emotional sensitivity, heightened emotion, irrationality, and the such. So yun yung definition ng construct. We can define it, no? And how we can explain behavior. Again, you have understood naman yung overt and covert. So overt behavior is what we could see in the person objectively. So it can be observed through our senses. All right, so I guess there are no questions. If there are questions, you can chat it on the chat box. Now let's go to assumption number 2. Psychological traits and states can be quantified and it can be measured. Okay, Alex, please read to us itong dalawang points na yan, ideally.
Ideally, the test developer has provided test users with a clear operational definition of the construct under study. Having defined the trait, state, or other construct to be measured, a test developer considers the types of item content that would provide insight into it.
Okay, so we can quantify and measure yung mga traits and states na yan. So we have certain psychological and personality tests which can measure traits. Let's say we have basic personality inventory. We have the NeoPi, no, Neo personality inventory. We also have several. We have the BDI. We have yeah. I guess those are examples of personality tests that could measure these traits. But there are also tests that can measure the states. An example of it is the DASS. Are you familiar of the DASS, DASS? It's the Depression Anxiety Stress Scale 21. Usually it's a 21 item tool that can measure depression, anxiety, and stress. These things can be states because we could change, no, eventually at the period of time, in the period of days. May nakalagay doon on the past 1 week, how often you experience the following. So we can quantify state through that. Other pa, marami tayong we have the DAS, we have other measures that can measure yung kumaga yung period of time lang in the past 30 days. We have Kessler psychological distress scale. Sikat din yun, ginagamit din yun. Symptoms checklist and the such. So, yun, no? May mga scales din tayo ginagamit to quantify personality and states. Okay? So, I hope you understood the difference between the two. Alright? Usually kapag merong therapy session, pinapagamit or nagbibigay tayo ng mga psychological tests that could measure the state in the past month, in the past week, ganun. So, again, it's transient, far less injuring, no? Okay. But of course, we can use personality test naman, yung mga standard talaga, yung talagang personality test that can define the person, which we could, kumbaga yung adult personality, basta nakikita natin, mga cases like adoption, cases like, let's say, if you are trying to before you go to a school, the guidance will give you a certain test, no? School purposes, for legal purposes, annulment, and the like examples, no? Yan. Or employment, pwede rin. So we have here, in quantifying, we usually could do cumulative scoring and domain sampling. So cumulative scoring is the higher the responses are correct, then the more likely mataas yung score. So, kumbaga, iniipon-ipon yung correct number of items, and that is cumulative scoring. So, the higher the correct responses, then the higher the score can be. And domain sampling, someone please read this one. May I call in Andrea? Nak, please read a sample of behaviors. Sige daw. A sample of
Yung dalawa
behaviors.
po.
Yung ano lang, yung domain sampling, yes. Yung dalawa daw.
The more that the speaker responds correctly or consistently with a particular trait, the higher that the test taker is presumed to be on the targeted ability or trait. Domain sampling, a sample of behaviors from all possible behaviors that could conceivably be indicative of a particular construct, or a sample of a test items from all possible items that could conceivably be used to measure a particular construct.
Oh, yeah, okay. So that is cumulative and domain sampling. So for domain sampling, I will explain this further. It's a sample of behaviors from all positive from all possible behaviors that could conceivably be indicative of a particular construct. Unlike cumulative scoring na ano siya na diretso, no? Yung number of items for domain sampling, let's say for example personality test, NewPy, no? So the higher the responses in a certain domain, example, conscientiousness. Di ba sa personality test, hindi naman hiwa-hiwalay. Nasa isang 50-item scale or 30-item scale, lahat ng domains nandun, and randomly, nandun sila. So, ang domain sampling is we're going to add all the indicative or those that are indicative of a certain construct, let's say conscientiousness and agreeableness. So, lahat ng items, makikita natin kung mataas ba, mababa as compared to other domains. That is domain sampling. So, in personality test, nangyayari din siya, o ginagamit siya. Hindi yung cumulative na right and wrong lang, no? But domain sampling is highly used in personality tests na may certain facets or factors. And whereon, the more this is very high, strongly agree yung naging response niya, mas mataas din. So yun naman talaga yung mga usual, di ba? Yung strongly agree, disagree, no? Yung mga Likert scale, those are called as Likert scales. Survey type siya, no? Mostly ang mga personality test and yung mga psychological test, no? These are all self-report measures ang tawag. Okay, so now let's go to assumption number 3. Test-related behavior can predict non-test-related behavior. Okay, I would like to call Joanna. Now please read to us the definition here.
A test taker's performance on a psychological test-related behavior, can be used to infer how they will behave in real life or non-tested related behavior. Tests are designed to extend beyond the testing environment.
Okay. All right. So, what does this imply? Ano yung interpretation niya dito? Test-related behavior predicts non-test-related behavior. Sige, ano kaya ito? Anong ibig sabihin nito? Anong ibig sabihin nito? Para sa inyo, kung nagbasa kayo ng libro ni Cohen, anong ibig sabihin nito? Tawag tayo. Okay, no? Sige, tawag tayo. Christian, what does it mean na? No? For you, anong ibig sabihin nito? Interpret niyo lang siya. Walang tama't maling sagot, class, no? Gusto ko kasi talagang makita din paano niyo rin naiintindihan yung lesson. I will not terrorize naman din kung hindi din ganun kasakto yung sagot. Sige, may mga nag-raise ng hand. Oh, parang nauna si Lex, no? Yes, Miss Platon.
Sir, sa ano lang po, I think it's because the psych test was designed to test the behavior of the person who is taking it. Hence, parang napipredict din po yung behavior nila in their everyday lives or in real life po.
Okay, alright, sige. So, well class, yung mga answer kasi nila sa mga test, 'di ba hindi natin nakikita yung mga items na nandun. For example, I usually hide when people is like this or like that. I usually get angry when my sibling argues with me. Yung mga ganong items, hindi kasi siya nakikita sa overt behavior. So as a psych professional, hindi natin siya pwedeng makita during the session mismo. But through the self-report, we could measure those tendencies, no? So it can predict non-test related behavior. Hindi nyo makita yung mga ginapang mark ko dito, no? Hindi nyo siya makita, no? May mga ako dito, may mga
Meron.
marking.
Makita
Meron
po,
Meron po,
sir.
sir.
Meron.
Meron. Okay, sige. So, test-related behavior predicts non-test related behavior. So, yung mga hindi nakikita on the keen eye, those are covert, no? Internal. Kung baga minsan hindi kasi siya on the actual, no? Testing experience. So, aside from the interview, we could also utilize test, which could help us understand more the person in the real life. So yung beyond na nasa testing environment, yung paglabas nila ng clinic, paglabas nila ng testing center, we could understand better kung paano sila. You understand? So it could help predict non-test related behavior, which is outside the test taking process. Okay? So parang makikita mo kung ano ba talaga siyang klaseng tao. Okay? Now let's go to assumption 4. Test and other measurement techniques have strengths and weaknesses. So Theo, please read to us this one. Competent test users.
Competent test users understand and appreciate the limitations of the test they use, as well as how those limitations might be compensated for by data from other sources.
Yeah, so all tests, no, they do have limitations, they do have weaknesses. Not all can measure everything. So hindi lahat kayang i-measure lahat, no. Kumbaga, kailangan nating alamin yung purpose. Ano ba yung domain na mini-measure ng test na to? Hindi lahat applicable. That's the common mistake siguro. Kasi minsan pinipilit natin due to the lack of availability of resources. Yun din yung most commonly fault ng ibang mga clinics din, no? Kasi minsan pinipilit natin kasi walang available other test. And these tests are really expensive. It can range from 25,000 to 180,000. It depends on what type of test it is. That's why minsan pinipilit talaga minsan yung mga ibang test na yun na lang yung gamitan due to the lack of resources. So ayun, no? Do you understand this? We should know and understand the purpose of the test, what it can measure and what it cannot measure. Yung term na appropriation of test ba? Depende sa case, no? So now let's go to assumption number 5. Various sources of error are part of the assessment process. So we all know that testing always has an error, no? The classical test theory, this assumption is made that each test taker has a true score on a test that would be obtained but for the action of a measurement error. So that is the true score theory. So basically, class, the classical test theory has a formula. Kumbaga, the true score is equal siya, no? Makita niyo to, class. Itong makita niyo siya. Itong ginasulat ko dito. Maklaro ninyo?
Opo, sir.
Okay. So true score, thank you. True score equals your real score or your actual score plus some error. Okay? Hindi na talaga mawawala ang error. Error variance. Okay? Error variance. It's always a component of all tests. Regarding kahit anong try natin, meron talagang degree of error yan. But our goal is to limit that error that could affect the real score. This is the true score. This is the CTT, no? True score. Your true score as the test taker is your real score plus error variance. Error variance, this is the assumption or I mean, this is the component of a test score attributable to sources other than the trait or ability being measured. So error variants are the extraneous or external variables. Can someone give me an example of sources of error? What are these extraneous variables? Sige daw. Bigyan niyo ako ng example ng sources of error sa mga test. Yung dapat hindi siya kasali. Pero minsan, nagiging kasali siya due to some circumstances. Sige daw. Yes, Riza. Ano yung example niyo?
Ano po, sir, yung noises po sa background, sir. If nag-take ng
Noise. Yeah, that is right. That's one. Others, baka meron pa kayo ibang mga sample of sources of error. Sino yung mga nag-raise kamay? Yes, Joanna, yes.
Possibly din po, sir, the temperature of the testing room, sir.
Baka sobrang lamig or sobrang init, no? Which could disrupt someone from test taking. That's why minsan kapag sobrang lamig ng room, no? Minsan recommended that you can bring jackets or cardigans. Yes, Azumi, ano mga sources of error natin dyan?
I think your test biases po.
Test biases. Kumbaga, na wawala ng objectivity. Okay.
Yes
I
po.
can consider that. What else? Marami kasi, di ba? There's a lot. Yes, Theo.
No po, sir. Mood po ng participants.
Yeah, the mood of the participants. That is correct. No? The mood, the attitude, sleep deprivation. That's another one. Yes, Christian? Katibod?
Wrong respondents po, sir.
Wrong?
Wrong respondents. Wrong respondents po.
Wrong
Nalagay sa-
respondents. Okay, or perhaps hindi
Or-
appropriate yung test para gamitin niya, no? Or hindi siya
Yes po, sir.
Yeah, okay. I can consider. Okay, sige. All right, there's a lot, no? Ingay, the noise, background noise, kulang ng tulog, gutom, no? May sakit, no? Minsan ganun, no? That could affect the performance. And sa virtual settings din, very common yung mga cheating, coaching. Another source of error is background noise if nagko-conduct ng assessment online or testing. Cheating, coaching, no? Yung standardized procedure medyo hindi ganun hindi ganun nakukuha. That's another source of error. So marami, no? Maraming sources of error talaga because we're all humans, we're not robots. Okay. Now let's go to assumption 6. Testing and assessment can be conducted in a fair and unbiased manner. Okay. So, Ethan, can you read this one? Itong dalawang to.
Despite the best efforts of many professionals, fairness-related questions and problems do occasionally arise. One source of fairness-related problems is the test user attempts to use a particular test with people whose background and experience are different from the background and experience of people for whom the test was intended.
Okay, yeah. So, class, whether we like it or not, testing can really have some biases, no? Part of our ethics is justice. Sometimes the client is hindi talaga sila literate. We cannot judge them for being like that. They cannot really read well, or they're not really that articulate or familiar of how testing works, how to do this and that. That's part of our culture. Hindi na natin siya mawawala. So kapag ganun class, no, example, you're trying to measure the IQ because part siya ng kailangan ninyo na test battery. A verbal test is given mostly to the population. Example will be Wechsler, SB5. Paano kapag illiterate or kulang siya ng test familiarity? The person cannot understand each choices because of the lack of formal education. So ikaw as a psych professional, what will you do? Will you exempt the person from doing the testing, or will you do another alternate way of conducting tests? Sige daw. Ano kayang magandang pinakagawin dyan? Hindi nakakaintindi masyado ng mga items yung person. What can we do? Sige daw. Siyempre, we cannot deprived. Pero kung ganito, no? Will you create a phrase there exempting them because of the lack of ganon? Sige. Yes, Alexandria.
Ano sir, we can alter po the test to the preferred language po of the test taker.
Yeah, that could also be the option, no? But, syempre, the way we could alter it sometimes is hindi siya ganun ka accurate yung translation niya. No? That is a challenge kasi wala masyadong mga Filipino based na mga test, no? Clients sometimes cannot understand English well. They can understand Bisaya, Cebuano, Tagalog. Kailangan mo talagang itagalog. They cannot understand the word sulks. Ano bang meaning ng word na sulks, class? Sulks, yan. S-U-L-K-S. What does it mean? If kayo yung mag-take ng test. Do you understand that word? No? Hindi. So, sulks is parang magtampo, manluod, no? So, usually, words like that, because these are created by Westerners, by Americans, no? By Pearson, no? Kumbaga may PAR. Hindi talaga originally ginamit na norms ang Filipino population. But that is the challenge because ito yung considered as standardized methods or procedures that we have to use, especially on the legal context. That's why it's really a big challenge for us Filipino practitioners. Our clients hindi sila pare-parehas. May mga clients na grade 5 ang natapos. Hindi ganon ka-familiar sa ganito, sa ganyan. So, an option is, for IQ test, we can give non-verbal test like this. So it's more of a pattern recognition, determining what comes next, logical reasoning, no? Mas nalalaman natin ano ba yung susunod sa mga options na yan, abstract reasoning, because this is, kumbaga, wala masyadong culture variable, less ang culture variable niya. Mas kayang answeran kasi hindi naman words ang ginagamit. So these are called as non-verbal tests such as the CFIT or the Culture Fair Intelligence Test and the Raven's progressive matrices. We have the standard and the colored version. So kapag ganun yung case, then we could use IQ test na non-verbal like Raven's. Okay, so far do you understand? As much as possible, we can conduct it in a fair and unbiased manner. Kasi syempre, biased na rin, no? Hindi natin pwedeng i-compare yung IQ niya porket hindi siya familiar ng ganung mga words. Hindi automatic yung IQ niya is very low as compared to someone that is really well-versed of language or English or whatsoever. We cannot compare that. It is not really, that's how it's defined, the IQ. No? Hindi ganun yung definition of an IQ. Okay, so IQ is more of intelligence is defined as adapting, surviving, adaptability. Hindi siya just more of language, speaking English, being well-versed of words and all. That's just one part. But IQ, in the general perspective, is the ability to adapt to situations, solve problems. Yun talaga ang meaning talaga ng intelligence. It's not just your ability to memorize, no? Your ability to become more familiar of formulas, no? One part lang yung mga bagay na yun. You understand? I hope I'm still speaking English and making sense, no? Now let's go to assumption number 7. Testing and assessment benefit society. Sige, let's read this one. Christian, can you read these 2 points here?
Assumption 7. Testing and assessment benefit society. Testing and assessment allow certification and license to practice various professions, medicine, engineering, etc. It allows basis for hiring and promotion, child placement in accelerated or special education curriculum, and detection and or diagnosis of psychological conditions, amongst many others.
Okay, thank you, Nak. No? So, that is testing. Testing and assessment benefit society. So, it can benefit on the hiring process. No? Before I entered Mapua, I was given certain tests, no? From the HR for employment, no? They can also give tests for them to identify the personality of the person. Test can also be used in legal or forensic settings. Let's say VAUC, there is violence, abuse involved in the case, juvenile delinquency, annulment or nullity of marriages. Basically, it is really required in legal context or in the forensic context. Kasi bakit? Kasi tayo kasi nakakapagbigay talaga ng objective way of understanding people or individual. We are given the task to provide objective way of creating a psychological picture of the person para hindi siya more of ano lang, sabi-sabi lang or more of opinion. Yes, we have opinion, but our opinion is professional opinion. Gets nyo? It's not just an opinion. It's a professional opinion based from standards. So we use test for that and it can benefit you, no, sa inyo, to know giftedness, to determine if there is learning disorders, there is global developmental delays, to determine if there are signs and symptoms of ADHD, autism, no, and other disorders or depression man. It's really beneficial to the society. Okay? So, do you have questions for this? None? Do you have questions? Okay. So, now let's try to go to psychological test. So, what constitute a good psychological test? You know. What is a good test? No. What is a good psych test? Manawag tabi, no? Robin, sige, Robin, you're here, no? What is a good test?
Ones that have been used by multiple psychologists, sir, throughout time.
Utility. Okay, you're mentioning about utility, nagagamit siya. Okay, now, there are two factors we have to consider, reliability and validity. These are in the chapters 5 and 6 ata, no? And part of module 2 ito. No. So, a good test is reliable and valid. But my question to you is, what comes first, reliability or validity? You have to answer that later. So, I will first define reliability. Okay, reliability, consistency of the measuring tool. So, reliability, ito yung parang paulit-ulit na mini-measure mo yung construct na yon. Okay? Reliability, ang keyword always dyan is consistency. Psychological tests are reliable to varying degrees. Kung baga, hindi pa iba-iba yung mini-measure mo. In Module 2, you have to create a psychological test that measures a construct, no? It's really a process, and yung test, ano yun eh? Test development. That's one of your summative assessment. I will also explain that to you once we go to Module 2 na. But reliability, paulit-ulit mong nami-measure or you are simultaneously hitting that construct. So that item of the construct. Well, validity, in definition, in your Cohen, it measures what it purports to measure. Yun talaga yung exact na word by word, verbatim. Kumbaga, it claims to measure, it does measure what it claims to measure. Kumbaga, validity is, ayun talaga yung nami-measure mo. So a good test is what? Is reliable and valid. But what comes first, validity or reliability? Based on your reading, should it become reliable first or before it can be valid, or it should be valid first before it is reliable? Sige daw, sa mga nag-read ng libro na, masasagot niyo yung answer ko. Sino ba yung nauna? Ang itlog or ang manok? Sino ba ang nauna? Si validity or si reliability dapat? Yes, Teo. What comes first?
Ano po, sir? Reliability. Because ano po, dapat consistent po muna yung test bago siya maging accurate.
Okay. Yes. 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 No. Okay. Well, basically, class, a test. Okay. A test. A test can be reliable but not valid. Okay. A test can be reliable but not valid. But a test that is valid is always reliable. No. So a test basically needs yun nga, yung isang reliable test, not necessarily valid siya agad. Pwede mong ma-measure ng paulit-ulit pero hindi talaga yun yung ano mo, yung nami-measure mo. So again, a test can be reliable without being valid, but a valid test is always a reliable test. Take note of that one, no? So that is a prerequisite. Kumbaga mas mataas pa rin si validity, no? Kasi yan, no? That is important na you are measuring what it purports to measure. There's another parts of a test, yung third yun utility or yung usefulness. Okay, but anyways, now let's go to norms or norming. Okay, let's read this one. Von, sige daw Von, pakibasa daw nakbe. Norms provide a standard up until this part here.
Norms provide a standard with which the results or measurements can be compared. Behavior
Mhm.
that is usual, average, normal, standard, expected, or typical.
Okay. So norming, no? Norms is a standard of how we interpret or how we make sense of the data that we have gathered from the psych test. So norms, all tests underwent norming. There are several types of norms: age norms, grade norms, local norms, national norms. So we have norm reference testing and assessment. So as defined as a method of evaluation and a way of deriving meaning from test scores by evaluating an individual test taker scores and comparing it to the test scores of group of test takers. So how can we understand that one? So for norm reference testing, ito daw yung parang sabi-sabi daw na yung mga bar exams tsaka yung mga board exams are norm reference test. Example, all of you will take the summative exam. Okay, who will get the highest score? Basically, kapag norm reference yung isang psych test or yung isang test or yung isang exam, ang meaning nun is binabase yung cut score, yung pass or fail sa pinakamataas na nakakuha ng score sa board exam or sa bar exam. Example lang yun ha. So, what does it mean? Wala siyang direct criterion, no? Wala siyang direct or objective way of scoring. Kumbaga, kapag norm reference is subjective yung scoring, yun daw yung chismis sa mga board exams na it is really norm reference score. So kaya always hinihiling namin na dapat sana maliit yung score ng pinakamataas na makakuha ng para yung passing grade is bumaba pa siya. Kasi kung sobrang taas nung top notcher, yung passing grade is medyo higher, no? So naka-base siya dun sa performance ng lahat ng test takers ng test na yun. Do you understand? So merong comparison ng score mo based dun sa lahat na nag-take ng same test na yun. Norm reference yung tawag doon. Kino-compare mo yung performance, no? How you interpret your score is based on the number of group of test takers. Example, 100 items. Then of course, ang highest score is 70. It does not mean na 70% yung percentage or yung percentile mo. Yung 70% pwedeng maging 90% or 95% yun. Kasi yun ang pinakamataas na nakakuha ng score. So nakabase yun sa performance ng lahat ng mga test takers. No? So depende kung sinong mga matataas yung mga nakuha. Do you understand? So, very subjective way of scoring. Okay, that is norm reference. Iba naman yung criterion. Mamaya, I will be discussing about criterion reference. So, we have norms. No, norming. Norming is a process referred to the process of deriving norms. So, kanina, I have shared examples of norms. So, sige, Robin, read natin itong normative sample here. Sige daw na, basahin mo.
Normative sample. Group of people whose performance on a particular test is analyzed for reference in evaluating the performance of individual task takers.
Yeah. So, ito yung sample. Normative sample yung tawag doon. Example, kayong lahat, C206, nasa isang kayo, lahat kayo, ito yung performance ninyo. And most of you have got this score. So, ito yung sample na pwedeng kunin in developing a test. That's why there is a need of pilot testing before ilabas yung actual test na yon. Minsan kasi kailangan talaga siyang i-pilot test. And part din yung norming sa process na yon. Yung test development, part yung norming. So, kailangan muna nating ma-analyze or ma-evaluate paano mag-respond ang usual or ang isang individual na nasa population. That's why, class, mahirap nga. Walang masyadong mga personality test na ginamit yung local norms. Merong akong alam, yung panukat ng ugali ng mga Pilipino na test. Yun lang, pero walang masyadong interpretation, walang masyadong test na ginamit talaga yung Filipino culture and behavior. 'Di ba? So, meron talagang bias, no? May culture talaga na variable. Okay? So, we have developing norms. Okay, normative sample. Now, let's go to the types of norms. We have this one, age, grade, national, percentile norms, and the such. So, going to percentiles. Yung percentile class, ito yung parang placement mo, no? Doon sa actual na test. Kumbaga, your percentage of people who score on the test measure falls below a particular raw score. So, basically class, sa mga test reports kasi minsan, meron talagang part doon yung percentile. So, minsan kasali siya. Ang percentile kasi class is equal usually to 100 percentile. 100%, no, mostly. Ito yung rank mo, yung distansya ng score mo, doon sa group of scores. Ito yung mga possible na mga scores. Yung percentile, ito yung parang rank mo, no? Or asan yung position mo doon sa group of scores ng isang test. So, relative position of a score within a distribution of scores. So, usually 100 percentiles yan. So, asan ka doon? So, sa mga nakakuha ng 95, no? Asan yung placement ng score mo? Usually kasi 95, tapos yung pinaka lowest niya, example 1, ganyan, or 100. That's why equal siya to 100 parts. Saan yung distansya mo, no? Asan ka banda? Ayan, so that is percentile. So it allows us to determine, no, it allows us to make sense of our score, yung position natin dun sa group of scores. So we have here, like what I mentioned, diba, itong part na to, these are average performers, yung mga nasa center, median, no, mean. Ito yung central tendency, average, more likely nandyan, and nandito yung low performance, at nandito naman yung high performance. So more likely, mas marami yung nasa average kapag normal distribution yung data mo. Unlike naman kapag negatively skewed or positively skewed siya, ibang usapan na rin yun. 'Di ba? Medyo naging easy yung test or naging sobrang hirap ng test, no? Magiging skewed yung data mo. You have questions? Okay. Okay, yan. Sige. So, sana na iintindihan nyo siya, no? I hope that I'm still speaking English here. So, mas maintindihan nyo siya, class, kung basahin nyo talaga yung libro. That's how I learned also. Gibasa na akong book yun ni Cohen. Okay? Kaya pa? Sige. Do you have questions? Okay, example of norms. So we have here age norms. So basis ang age natin ng isang person, no? Syempre, a score of 20 or a score of 44 over 60 is not similar to a person who younger than you, relatively younger than you. Of course, you have to interpret it in such a way. So 44 score is different kung yung edad mo is you are 16 as compared to someone whose age is 32. So, hindi natin pwedeng isahin yon, no? Always naka-anchor pa rin din yung sum test sa age. Okay? So, the average performance of different samples of test takers who were at various ages at the time of the test was administered. So, iba yung interpretation kapag ganun. Some tests are like that. Grade norms. So, this one is based on the school grade. So, syempre, yung gauging natin is magkakaiba rin sa grade level nung test taker. So, iba yung interpretation kung yung grade mo is ganito, 7 as compared to grade 12. Ganyan. No? So, grade norms yon. We have developmental norms. Ito naman, develop on the basis on any trait, ability, or skill or other characteristic that is presumed to develop, deteriorate, or otherwise be affected by chronological age, school, grade, or stage of life. So, this talks about more of the developmental milestone, kung na-reach na ba. And, syempre, as you grow old, as you age, there is deterioration na of some facets of your IQ, whether we like it or not. No? So we also have national norms. So national norms is more of a representative of a population. Example of it is sa UPCAT, no? Okay. Sa iba pala yun, no? Anyways, national norms, example of this is, let's say, career assessment, mga inventories that are done in the national levels. Example also are board examinations or bar examinations because it is done on the national level. Okay? We also have subgroup norms, so based on the criteria like age, educational level, socioeconomic level, and geographic region. We also have local norms. So ito na yung ano natin, UPCAT, no? When you want to enter this particular school, so then you have to also to have a certain rank or grade para makapasok ka, no? So local norms kasi ang ginamit dito is part of the Filipino local. Okay? Okay. Now let's go to criterion reference testing as compared to the norm reference testing. So when we say criterion, it is a standard on which judgment or decisions may be based. Okay, we evaluate scores on the basis of whether or not some criterion has been met. So let's call someone. Isabel, please read to us this one, the criterion reference testing. This one.
Criterion reference testing and assessment may be defined as a method of evaluation and a way of deriving meaning from test scores by evaluating an individual score with reference to a set standard, also referred to as domain or content reference testing and assessment.
Yeah. Tawag din sa kanya is domain or content reference testing. Usually kasi kapag mga personality tests, mostly they're using domains. They're using criterion. So example of it will be example is NeoPi, NeoFFI. So there is a certain personality trait there, ang tawag is conscientiousness. Under conscientiousness, meron pa siyang sub-factors or sub-facets. There is orderliness, there is industriousness. So, meron pa siyang sub-factors under that. So, itong criterion class, may mga criteria that could measure a certain construct. Okay? Kaya siya tinawag na domain kasi hindi siya kagaya nung kanina na norm reference. This is more of objective kasi, no? Kumbaga, mas na-measure natin yung naging score niya sa isang domain or sa isang criteria. Gets nyo? So, example, mataas yung kanyang score, mataas, most of his responses are strongly agree and agree sa isang domain. So, more likely, high yon or very high. So, pwedeng mataas yung agreeableness mo. You answer it mostly yes or strongly agree. Okay, do you understand? As compared to the normative kasi, no, ang difference niyan is si normative or si norm reference testing, may ginagawang comparison sa other test takers. Si criterion reference, certain siya. Kumbaga, pass or fail lang. Walang subjective scoring, objective lahat. Kumbaga, kung ito yung naging score mo sa isang test, ito talaga yung score mo. Hindi na siya kailangan pang i-compare sa other test takers. Okay? Kumbaga, pass or fail, no? Let's say the passing grade is 60% or 60 points. So if you go below that, then you will fail. So ganun siya. Gets nyo? So mostly some IQ tests have this criterion, some personality tests, most personality tests have criterion reference testing. So talagang objective talaga yung counting of scores. Do you understand? Do you have questions? Okay. Okay, now I would like to ask you, why are norms important in psychological testing and assessments? Bakit siya mahalaga? Why do you think? Bakit mahalaga ang norming, no, sa psych assessment or sa psych testing? Sinong gustong sumagot, no? Why is it important? Yes, Ethan, you're raising your hand.
Because I believe it's a subjective experience for every person and how they perceive culture and what culture they are brought up in. So contextual knowledge and background will be beneficial to the person who is assessing the client or to the patient that they are psychologically testing, and they serve as important factors to determining what sort of interpretations they want to make out of the results, that they have.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you got it right, no? Kasi minsan lahat talaga ng test, all tests needed to be normed. Kailangan din nating malaman how do a typical sample of population respond on that test. Kasi kung walang norming, it just going to be raw, no? Hindi natin alam yung normal na pag-answer ng isang respondent. Example, in our research, diba, we undergo pilot testing. We have to try it first. That's why sa test development, merong test tryout para malaman natin kung ano yung response ng typical population sa isang item na to. Do they understand it as compared to other similar way, no? And with that, we could retain the item, we could reject the item, and we could revise the item. Depende dun sa naging result ng pilot study. So, usually test tryout na yung phase na yon. Kailangan nating malaman kung ano yung mga kailangang tanggalin. And norming is important sa lahat ng mga test kasi nga, we have to understand how does humanity or a sample population of this particular group, can be local, age, no? Ano pa nga yan? Local norm, national norm, grades norm, how do they respond typically sa item na yan? And from then on, we could judge. Okay, so I hope you understand some part of it. I know medyo heavy yung part na to, but ganun talaga, no? Psych testing na rin kasi talaga tayo. So medyo kailangan na natin maging critical sa mga matters na to. Sige, I'll give you a break of a 3-minute break. Then let's get back by 2:15 for ethics. Sige, inom muna kayo water, no? Inhale, exhale. Then balik tayo by 3:15. Sige.